So guys, great to talk to you. We haven't seen a lot of each other this year, which is a real pity because of COVID and the restrictions and everything else. So it's great to get a chance to chat to you and have a quick catch up. So we were just having a quick chat yesterday as well, just about what we talk about, and we just felt it was a good idea just to talk to people about the BT Young Scientists and Technology exhibition and different things like that. But I think at this juncture of the year, last year, you would have heard that you actually qualified for 2021. So what is it like to be part of what is now the BT Young Scientist family and the alumni of BT?
Yeah, it's an unbelievable experience for both of us, BT Young Scientists, and one neither of us will ever forget. Especially entering the competition, we were able to learn new skills, and most importantly, we were able to showcase the work we had done in the months before it. And even after Young Scientists, BT Young Scientists, it has opened many different doors for us. It has exposed us to new different career opportunities. Like myself, I want to go into computer science, hopefully, and there's opened many doors into that area as well. And it's been a really valuable experience for me.
And Cormac, what was your experience?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, definitely a huge highlight of my transition year, and even just school in general. I mean, it's something that you definitely will always remember to look back at. It's a great chance, as well as Alan was saying, to work on your communication skills, and just, it's a great chance to showcase your knowledge in something that you're really passionate about. We really enjoyed our time with the BT Young Scientist.
Great. So there's probably about just over 1,100 students who got the news last week before they broke up for the midterm break that they got through to 2021. So what advice would you give that cohort over the next couple of months before we see them virtually in January? Unfortunately, we won't be seeing people face to face.
Yeah, I mean, we think the advice is pretty simple. I mean, like, it's very important, we thought, was to set yourself deadlines to get certain parts of your work done, to make sure that you weren't scrambling at the very end. So it's important to have a clear plan. Also, if you're working in a group like myself and Alan were, it's very important that you divide up your work evenly and to each other's strengths, to make sure that you're both working on stuff that you'd be good at. Then I suppose when you get closer to the competition, it's important that you plan well for the judges. I mean, it's no real pressure for the judges, but it's important to be able to, because you've done so much work, it's important to be able to be the main points across. Hugely as well, we found that it's important to be diligent and to keep going and not give up, even though writing the big proposal at the end and getting all the work done, it's a long thing. But finally, when you get there, it is definitely worth it at the end. So just be diligent with it.
Great, that's really good advice, because it is a journey, not a sprint. And people will discover that their projects will go in many different ways at this stage when they're planning things. So Alan, would you encourage people to take part in the BT Young Scientist?
100%. It's probably, for me, one of the key highlights of my life so far. It's a great opportunity, as Cormac said, to learn new skills, or even to, like, me and Cormac knew each other before we entered the Young Scientists together. But if you enter with someone you don't know so well, you could figure out to be best friends for life. Or it's a great opportunity to showcase your skills and knowledge to people you don't know. And as I said before, it's a great way to open up a new career path and expose yourself to new experiences.
Yeah, that's very good. And actually, my next question was it fun collaborating on the project together? I know you've been friends for a long time, and sometimes that can be helpful and sometimes not. So by the sound of things, you really enjoyed the experience working together. And I know you're unfortunately, because the European Young Scientist was cancelled because of COVID and other different initiatives that you would have been able to take part in, because your winners have been cancelled as well, that you were looking at how you'd extend your project. And I know you have ideas and want to work for that. So the journey is not over with your collaboration on your project. So that sort of leads me in, and I know people may have seen the really good interview at the very start of that Anno D introduced earlier today at the start of Future Human. But just could you tell us a little bit more about your project? Because I think it's an absolutely fascinating subject, and being sort of the curator, as we are in BT, of the Young Scientists and Technology exhibition, STEM and STEM education and how to get a gender balance across STEM is really, really important to us. So if you could just tell me more about what you did and what you discovered.
Yeah, so I suppose our project was based around gauging the prevalence of gender stereotyping in 5 to 7-year-olds. So how we kind of came up with this project is last year, at this time, me and Cormac were both thinking about what subjects we might do for Leaving Cert. And what we noticed is that the majority of students that pick subjects like home economics or art were girls, and the majority of students that chose subjects such as DCG, metalwork, or woodwork were boys. And we were wondering, why is there this huge gender divide at our age when it comes to this subject? So we decided to go right back to the very start of education to see, does this exist at that age? So we went around to 5 different types of schools and surveyed 376 students. And we had 6 survey questions asking them a range of different things. So we asked them about their favorite subjects. We asked them what their favorite toy was. And we also asked them to rate male and female job competency, just to gauge the level of gender stereotyping at this age.
Yeah, so another test that we carried out was we asked the students just what job they want themselves when they're older. And we found that the resounding majority of students wanted to be teachers when they're older, we found that this actually did make sense to us because, students are with their teachers all day, every day nearly. So we thought the best way to, try combating gender stereotyping was in schools. So we developed a resource kit, just some different resources that we thought could be used in schools to try combating gender stereotyping. So one of the things we included was a teacher checklist. So just a list for teachers to look at themselves, to be looking at, because we found a lot of gender stereotyping was subconscious, just to make sure, are they choosing both boys and girls to in the room, or do they have the same expectations for boys and girls when it comes to behavior and work? So we also think that the project is very much relevant at this time as well, because there's never been more of a need for people working in STEM, especially with the pandemic. So we think that anyone who limits themselves because of gender stereotyping is absolutely wasting talent that could be used in a very, very productive way today.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's very, very important. And just before we talk a little bit more about how you're sort of coping with the new norm that is COVID and school, and just trying to get out and see your peers and all the rest, because I think it's very important for all of us, but especially I think within your age group and stuff. If anybody wants to ask questions, please do by using the chat session here. The 2 guys are really happy, and as I am as well, to answer any questions. We've got about 15 minutes left to go. We'll just keep chatting if nobody asks questions. So we've plenty to talk about, so it's no problem at all. But just on that, and the coping with COVID, like in your video earlier, you sort of said, look, we're getting used to wearing masks in school. We're getting used to the social distancing in school. We're getting used to wiping down our desks after every single class and all the rest. But I think it's more around the psychological there that you sort of said as well, that was very important to be back in school and to start getting a routine back again.
Yeah, like definitely for young people, a routine is like what we're so used to going to school for the majority of our life. So when we went into the first lockdown, a lot of people definitely found it very tough having to have the self-motivation to get out of bed at a certain time and not sleep until 1 or 2, and then kind of flip over and open up Netflix and be there till 4 or 5 and not get out of bed till 4 or 5. So I suppose it was very hard for our generation, but definitely I think if you get a routine going, it's a lot easier, especially being back in school now. It's it's much better to have a routine going around.
Yeah, and I think that's important for all of us. And fortunately, I didn't. I work for a technology company, and I work from home quite a bit anyway, so I was ready and I had all the tools. at my disposal. So unfortunately, being able to lie in bed all day and watch Netflix wasn't something I could do. But I know that it for everybody, it's been a very steep learning curve, and we've had to adapt, as you know, from chats we had yesterday as well, and over the last few months, to the BT Young Scientists going virtual. And it has been a steep learning curve for us. We're still trying to sort of imagine how it will look, the final look of it, but I think it'll be great for everybody. We can still do it, which is the main thing. So there's a couple of questions coming in here. So so Catherine Doyle is asking, really interesting project. Did you find the same gender divide regarding favorite subjects among 5 to 7 year olds? Where does that divide start? So is it 5, 6 or 7 year olds, or where does it start?
Well, what we had found was very interesting as well, as we didn't see any difference between 5, 6 or 7 year olds. So we found it very interesting, you know, that both boys and girls were they loved maths, they loved English, they loved art, and they also loved science. So it was really interesting that they had such a positive outlook on school. But what we were wondering then is something is happening from 5 to 7 to 15 to 17 that is creating the divide. So we don't know why it's happening or when it's happening, but we know that it definitely is occurring, and that at this young age of 5 to 7, they're positive towards everything.
Yeah, which is, it's really, really good. So then you have to sort of find out exactly when that changes as well, and and I think it's this the subconscious stereotyping sort of creeps in with people and all the rest, and everybody is does it, and a lot of people don't realize that they do it as well. So we just come back, and this I think is from one of my colleagues in BT, but because we've all been working very hard behind the scenes around the virtual BT Young Scientists, and what are your thoughts on it going virtual, that you won't have the same experience that you both had last year, where you could meet judges and the public and everybody else coming in, but what are your thoughts?
Well, I suppose a lot of it is the same. I suppose the actual exhibition is obviously online, but the lead up, as in the researching of your project, the carrying out of your project, that's all the same. I suppose it's something new going online, and maybe it'd be definitely a new experience for everyone. And I suppose it'd be definitely interesting to see how it goes. I know it'll go brilliantly, and definitely something no one will ever forget, it being online for the first time.
Yeah, I can guarantee you that in my life that will be the way. Yeah, it's interesting just what way it'll work, and we've tried to make the experience to a point exactly the same. So the only experience that will be different for the students is that they won't physically be in a venue, and they won't have the general public coming through. They will be judged the same way, and everything else works there. So hopefully it will. There's actually another very important one, going back to your project as well, and it's something as a woman working in STEM and in a technology company, I'm always interested to get other people's views on. But why do you think that less women are likely to choose a career in STEM?
Well, something that we thought was quite interesting was that we thought something that was very much playing a big part was students' storybooks or movies or TV shows. We found that lots of them, such as, lots of fairy tales, we find Prince Charming comes to save the day, or so we thought it was very important, to expose boys and girls, especially, to books and movies and TV shows that promote gender-friendly storylines. For example, Doc McStuffins is a good TV show for young boys and girls, and we also found there was lots of different books that we looked into, so they were kind of
I suppose there's definitely more initiatives being done to get women into STEM. I know there's the I Wish, I think, is one, and there's one in CIT as well, here in Cork. There's a lot, and that's over the last few years. There's been a lot more initiatives to get women in STEM, and hopefully this is the way forward, and hopefully it keeps improving.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that sort of research that's been seen is that a woman needs to feel that she can tick 80% of the boxes in a job description, where a man will go a lot less than that. So it is just trying to retrain people as well. And have you got any other easy tips for people to tackle social constructs as well? Like you talked about the books, talked about the films, and I know that you did come up with resources for the teachers to use in primary schools as well. But is there anything else you've discovered?
Yeah, I suppose like one of the main things is to be aware of what you're doing, be aware of your decisions or what you say. That some things that may be gender stereotypical, like no one blatantly goes out of their way to be gender stereotypical. It's a lot of subconscious that we're just so used to, and I suppose we need to take a step back and just be aware of the decisions and things we say, and just before we say it, should I be saying this? Is there a better way I can say this to make it more gender appropriate? So I suppose that's one of the main things, to be aware of what you say. Another thing is if you see other people, your friends, call them out. Why are you saying this? And another thing is don't limit yourself. So if someone says to you, "Oh, just because you're a boy or a girl, you can't do this," that's a lie. So don't limit yourself to gender stereotypes would be one of the main things I'd say.
Yeah, Cormac, have you anything more to add there?
No, I think Alan's really covered the extent of it as well. Just really just to be more aware of it and just to look out for it, because it happens all the time and you wouldn't even notice it. If you're more aware and you're open to it, you'll find how often it's happening, but how simple and easily it is changed, and just to change the mindset of the way that people are thinking.
Yeah, absolutely. We just got a message there from Heather Massey, who is Hetty Lamar, I think, the Life of Invention. So through her performing and performances, she works to encourage young women into science and technology, and we're involved in a group called Connecting Women in Technology as well, which is a lot of the lead technology companies across Ireland are involved, and it's something that we're trying to do. And we have Digital Futures program that we're actually going to deliver for the first time virtually this year as well, into schools for transition years in the main, and we'll look at other years involved in that as well. So there are so many good initiatives. Like I remember when I first got involved, and probably even in the last decade, earlier in there were very few initiatives and everything else, and then it got to the stage that there were so many, and it was trying to maneuver your way around. But I think things have consolidated now, and there is a very good and general purpose in a lot of companies to get more gender equality and gender diversity into workforces, and that's from a background, that's from a culture, that's from an age profile and a gender profile as well. So it's not just always gender as well. So I know we've talked about this before, and I think from Alan that you sort of have a very concrete idea of what you want to do after school, and that's a lot to do with your interest before that, but also a program that you got involved in through the BT Young Scientist. Do you want to chat a little bit about that as well?
Yeah. So through the BT Young Scientist, I was able to find about the Patch Accelerator program. So it's in link with Dog Patch Labs in Dublin, and what it's about is, I think there was 25 teenagers ages 16 to 20, I think, this year. It's the second year of it run by Tom McCarthy, and it's a great program where you come together in groups, and you come together to do a project. So you can be working on engineering projects, software projects, and it really suited me a lot because that's what I hope to do in the future. So it was a great experience for me, and I would highly recommend, if there's anyone listening and they're into tech, to definitely find it out. It's a Patch Accelerator program, and it's in conjunction with Dog Patch Labs.
Great, thanks a million. And then Cormac, you're probably the reverse at this stage as well, and we talked about this yesterday as well. 1st of July 2021, that's the pressure date for you guys, so just have a think about it. But just as regards from school, because I know you've got a lot of you're doing a lot of diverse subjects, and probably ones that don't lead to a defined college experience or career path. What's your thinking around things?
Yeah, well, I'm really still not too sure. Every few months I have a new idea of what I want to do. The subjects that I've chosen are music, chemistry, accounting, and German as well. So I've kind of left all my doors open to see what I want to do. But no, I really haven't narrowed it down anyway at all.
Yeah, and I think that the thing is, like, some of us in the older generation, let's say, we sort of had sort of very much you did such and such and such and such to do the job for life or whatever else. Jobs for life aren't around so much anymore. But I think now that there's so many, and what it sounds to me is the type of jobs that are coming online, and there's so many jobs that have been are marketed with companies, and people are looking to fill roles in that weren't there a year or two ago. So there's a lot more flexibility, I think, for people to move around and to see what's out there as well. So it's always quite good in that regard. And I think by being involved in something like BT Young Scientists as well, like people probably would have thought, right, you're going to be teachers, you're going to do a social science degree because your project was about social science and get deeper into research. But it's a really stepping stone, I think, onto helping people and get life skills as well, as much as anything else. So I'm just wondering if there's any more questions there. We're actually just about, we'll be wrapping up in a few minutes there. Just as regards, I think going back to COVID as well, and it's something that I have been struck about over the last few months, well, not few months, well, since March, especially since things start closing down as well, is how the profiles have changed around our scientists very much, our medical practitioners, our frontline staff, and all the rest. And I think they're the people, and they're the lines that we need to encourage. People are talking about a vaccine and everything else, which we all need badly. So how do you feel that sort of landscape has changed around sort of scientists being more visible in the last few months?
Yeah, I suppose like before this year, especially healthcare and scientists and research maybe weren't put at the forefront, but especially this year, you've people clapping at 8 o'clock for the last couple of months for the healthcare workers, and that's never been done before. I suppose the last few months have definitely changed the scope of things, and that now more than ever people are needed in research and healthcare. And that, going back to what Cormac said earlier, if there's a girl that wants to be a doctor, but because she saw something somewhere that said, oh, girls can't be doctors, she might go off in another job, but she could have ended up being one of the greatest scientists and discovered a vaccine. So I suppose what I'm trying to say is that, like, with gender stereotypes, it limits people and it's a waste of talent. And now more than ever, we need that talent in healthcare and doctors and research.
Yeah, absolutely. And Cormac, have you anything to add there?
But I think definitely it's kind of, always trying to find positives in the kind of new environment that we're living in. But I suppose the fact that there's more light being shone on these kind of scientists and the importance of entering science and medicine and technology, that maybe there'll be young boys and girls who are looking at this on the news, and they're saying maybe that one day they will be able to go on in the future and to help out in a way that they wouldn't have if they hadn't been on the news so much and so much attention being drawn to them. So I suppose some positives that we can find is that hopefully people will be looking at this into as a serious career option for the future.
We're just about to wrap up. So just on, I'd go back to the BT Young Scientists Technology Exhibition. I can see actually one of our judges asking the question I asked you earlier about the virtual exhibition and everything else. So is there anything else you want to tell the cohort of sort of 2021 around their research or anything else they need to look out for or to do between now and into December and then that week in January when we're all getting together again?
Yeah, I suppose like right now is have a clear plan of what you want to get done, set deadlines that say you want to get this bit of research done by a certain date, so then you can do a bit of analysis. Or if you're doing a tech project, you want to have this built, or set deadlines so you're on track and have a clear plan of what you want to do. I know we were working a bit over Christmas. I'm not sure is that unavoidable or not, but I would recommend try to have a clear plan of what you want to do, so you don't run into that. Practice the days before or the week before. The young scientists practice pitching. So for me and Cormac, I know we had Cormac would be going first, and then I'd be adding on to the next part of the project, and we'd have a rhythm, and it'd look a lot more professional. I suppose that's a very key point for the pitching, is that to have like a rhythm to go through and know who's speaking when.
Yeah, definitely. Just to stick with it as well, because it will be a long, hard few months. But I mean, when you choose a project that you're passionate about, the work comes easy and it's not too hard to do. So it is very important to stick with it, be diligent, and yeah, as Alan says, over Christmas, over weekends, after school, to put the work in, because it is all worth it at the end. It is one of the greatest experiences that both of us have ever had.
Yeah, no, it really is. That we so enjoy being involved in it as well. And the one thing I would say, that the fact that we're going to be doing everything virtually, and that's the interviews as well. So it's very much like pretend I'm the judge, pretend I'm interviewing Cormac and Alan. That's what we're looking at. So I think technology will lend itself very well to help people to practice more. The fact that people may not be able to get together as much as possible to work on their projects, they can still collaborate on these wonderful technological tools. There's one final question, and it's going back to your project as well, and it's probably sort of after this time of year, as we head swiftly towards Christmas. Karen McCarthy asked, can you see the pink and blue aisles in toy shops changing anytime soon?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I suppose I wouldn't see why not. So it's not really our decision to make, but I would definitely be for it. It's something that should have been done a couple of years ago, and hopefully it's done as soon as possible. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, because again, this is another subconscious way that gender stereotypes are portrayed. Boys assume they can only play with blue toys, girls assume that they can only play with girls' toys. So just to try, hopefully they'll change to more gender neutral colors, and hopefully soon enough anyway we'll progress past the blue for boy and pink for girl.
Because it is those sort of visual stereotyping that really does hinder people as well, because it's you see so much in it, and you take in so much on a visual aspect as well. So we'll be wrapping up now. So just from me, I want to say thanks so much to Alan and Cormac for joining us, especially midterm break. You should be getting some downtime. But best of luck in the rest of the year. I know fifth year is hard, and I think especially this year that you might be going back to virtual learning at any stage. Hopefully not, and everything else. And it's a trying year in school, but I know you'll rise to the challenge very much, as well. Just from the BT Young Scientist and Technology point of view, just if people keep an eye on all of our social media, on our website as well, we are working towards the event, which is in 7 weeks' time. We have so much that will be being able to let people see and to invite people to take part in as well. So I think it's really important that we get to see as many of the young people as possible who will have put so much time and energy into their work over that time. There's some great projects after qualifying, and I know from talking to the judges as well, and those that took part in the screening, that they're very excited about the standard this year as well. So I think that's our time up now, guys. And again, thanks so much for joining today, and I just want to wish Anne and the team all the best with Future Human over the next day and a half.